He's done his MSc from Sripur, and he is also an VHM scholar. And currently, he is doing IIT Kanpur. So, without wasting any, request Sabyasachi, please unmute yourself and present your screen and start your lecture.
Okay, Gananda,
Okay.
am I audible?
Yes, Sabya.
Okay. So, thanks for the nice introduction. So, today we will discuss the concept of the sequence of functions, and it is a very important topic in all the exams, and also it is a very important topic and subject in its own right. Okay, so
Sabya, please share your screen first and then start your talk.
okay, so now I share my screen.
And one request from to audience, please, if you have any doubt, any audio problem, any questions, so ask your questions in chat box, and we will in the last of the talk after talk is completed by speaker. Okay. Yes, Sabya, your screen is visible. Okay,
Is
you
my
can
screen
start now.
visible? Okay. So hello everyone. So today we will discuss about the concept of the sequence of functions, and most of the students have difficulty regarding this concept. They are not able to show the uniform convergence of the Pascal sequence of functions, and they are not able to understand the so clearly. So let's start. So sequence of functions. So what is a sequence of functions? So sequence of functions is from the set n, where n is a natural number, to the set of all functions from some fixed domain D to R. Okay, so if I fix a number n, so we can associate a function Sn, which is a function from our domain to R. Okay, we are given a sequence of functions, let's say Sn, x in D, we can consider the sequence Snx, and it is real numbers, right? So for each x, we have a sequence of real numbers, and call that f1x, f2x, whatever. In this lecture, our domain set will be the subset of R, and the codomain set will be also the subset of R. Uh, we are mainly interested in the convergence of the sequence Snx, right? So if you sequence So, and these are important questions. Okay. So we all know that there is a two convergence, and the other is the convergence, right? So, so what is the pointwise convergence? You all know that pointwise convergence means that if you give me any sequence fn, if for every x naught in D, if fn x naught of real numbers, right? So if fn x naught is convergent, and if it is true for every x naught in D, the sequence fn x naught is a, then we call the sequence fn convergent sequence. So suppose x naught in D, our sequence fn x naught is convergent to some L x naught. The limit on the point in the domain, right? So fn x naught is convergent to Lx naught. For every x naught in D, we can a real number Lx naught, right? So basically, we have a function f from B to R, where fx is equal to Lx. We call sequence fn. So for example, if you take a sequence of functions like this is a very basic fn from R to R, as fn x is 1 for every x in R. So clearly it is converges pointwise on R, because if you take any point x in R, so what is my fn x? Fn x is only the constant sequence 1, and so it is obviously convergent, and our pointwise limit is the function f x is equal to 1, right? So the next example, so it is a very basic and the common example. So you may find this in all the basic books. So take fn x is equal to x power n. This is the one. So if you take the point P, which is one, interval 0 1, so it is like if you compute fn3 is c power n, and we all know that this sequence converges, right? So and the limit is 0. So and for c equal to 1, our fn3 will be 1. So our sequence fn converges pointwise to f, where the pointwise limit is of this form. It is 0 when x is in the open interval 0, 1, and also 1 when x equal to 1. So in this example, observe that all our fn's are continuous. This function is not continuous because the continuity fails at the point x equal to 1. So the next question arises that under the pointwise limit, the pointwise limit of a sequence of functions of a sequence of continuous function may not be continuous, right? So is there any other form of convergence in which the pointwise we can find the pointwise limit say convergent? So the answer is yes. So there is a notion of uniform convergence. So what is that? Any sequence of functions fn from B to R, then fn converges uniformly to a function f if you compute the supremum of the difference fnx minus fx, it should goes to 0 as n tends to infinity. So you first compute the supremum of modulus fnx minus fx. We call that sequence mn. So if mn tends to 0 as n tends to infinity, then we say that our sequence of functions is converging uniformly on D. So you all know that uniform convergence implies the pointwise convergence. Okay. Example, take fnx is equal to x power n, where x is in the interval closed interval 0 half, open half. So if you compute the limit fx, so fx is nothing but 0, right? Pointwise, right? The uniform convergence of a sequence of functions. So if you compute the difference of fnx minus fx, so it is of the form just x power n, and you take the supremum over the interval, so it is of the form, so mn is 1 by 2 power n, and mn tends to 0, so fn tends to s uniformly on. Now if I take fnx as the same function, and if we change the domain, like in the previous example, our domain is this closed interval 0, open half. Now we change the domain as, so for the pointwise limit, if you compute, so it is of the form fx equal to 0. Now if you compute mn, and where x belongs to closed interval 0, open 1, so it is equal to 1, right? So mn does not tend to 0 as n tends to infinity. So in this case, fn tends to a pointwise, but fn does not converge to a uniformly on the closed interval 0, open half. So notice that if the function it depends only also on the domain of the sequence of functions. If we change the domain, so it may happen that the sequence of functions is not uniformly convergent. Okay. Now, because some basic results, we all know that if there is a sequence of if there is a sequence of continuous functions on the closed interval AB, and if n converges uniformly to f on AB, then f is also a continuous function. So we can say that the uniform limit of a sequence at the point of continuous function continuous. Important results. So this is some basic results you will find any book. Okay, so suppose Fn is a sequence of Riemann integrable functions, and Fn converges uniformly on the interval AB, then the uniform limit is also Riemann integrable, and we have this between the integral of integral a to b fnx dx and integral a to b fx dx. So we can say that under the uniform convergence, we can interchange the limit and the integration. So it is some basic results, and also there is some more basic results, that if Fn is uniformly on D, and let x naught be a limit point of D, and if you compute the limit x at the point x naught, and if it is an, then our an also converges, and it converges to the limit L, where L is nothing but the limit of the function f at the point x naught. Okay, so and result is that suppose Fn is converges to a uniformly on D, and Fn are all the bounded sequence, that is for each n we have Fn, and Fn is a bounded function. So for each n we have the function Fn from D to R. So and then each function Fn is bounded, and it should imply that f is also bounded. So the uniform limit of a sequence of bounded functions is also bounded. So these are some basic results. You all know that, and you will find in any basic book of the okay. So the main question is, what are the importance of these results, especially to solve a problem. So how we apply these results to solve a problem? Okay, so let's see. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
you
you
are
are
audible.
audible. Yes.
Okay. So these are some basic results which helps us to decide that when a sequence of functions is uniformly convergent or pointwise convergent, right? So first take an example. Take Fnx is equal to take power n sin n pi x power n by 2, and our interval is the open interval 0, 1. So it is clear that Fn tends to f pointwise, where the pointwise limit is 0, right? Because if you take some c in that interval and you take the estimate for Fnx is less than or equal to pi c power n by 2, right? And it is tends to 0. Okay. The zero function. Okay. Now the question is that how to check the convergence of this function, whether it is uniform or not. Just see that one is a limit point of that open interval 0, 1, right? So if you compute that limit of Fnx at the point 1, you will get minus 1 whole power n, and it is not a convergent sequence, right? So hence the convergence is not uniform, because just recall the result 3. If the convergence is uniform, and if you compute the limit of Fnx at some limit point, then the resulting sequence always convergent. Okay, but in this case, if I compute the limit at the point 1 of the sequence of functions Fnx, you get minus 1 whole power n, and it is not convergent. So the convergence in this case is not uniform. Okay. Now take some other example that take this sequence of functions Fnx. It is of this form. It's a nice function. Now you notice that for each fixed c in the closed interval 0, 1. So in this case, our domain is the closed interval 0, 1. So for each point c in the closed interval, this our FNC will converge to 1, right? So in this case, our pointwise limit is nothing but the function 1. Now you just verify that Fn does not converge into F 0, 1. Just using the result I have pointed out, that is the result 1, 2, 3, using any of them. Just verify this, that so our, in this case, our Fn pointwise okay. again some important results, and probably you will find this result in any book. Okay, so so I'm not repeating this result. Okay, so it's called the Dirichlet theorem, that if you have a compact set in R, and if you have a sequence of functions, if you have a sequence of continuous functions, and if our sequence of continuous functions converges pointwise to a continuous function, and if our sequence is a decreasing sequence like that, if n x is equal to x plus 1x for every x and for all n, then our convergence is uniform, right? And that if I have a sequence of functions which is a differentiable on the open interval AB, you can take on the so I write here the closed interval AB, or take the open interval A, and if n x naught converges to some point on that if n x naught converges to some point x naught in that interval, and if you develop if n converges to some function g uniformly on that interval, then it should imply that fn tends to f uniformly, and our f and g are related by this equation, that is f prime equal to g, that is our f dash x equal to g. So in this case, just observe that. So in this case, it is not only assured that our function, so it is not only assured that the sequence of functions is converges uniformly on the interval AB. It also ensures us that the uniform limit of sequence also differentiable, right? That is f prime is g. Now now we give some important definition, which is very helpful to the results clearly. If Fn is a sequence of functions in the set E, then we say that the sequence Fn is pointwise bounded. If for each point x, so in E, and then Fnx is a sequence of real numbers, right? So if that sequence is bounded, this is true for every x in E. So if for every x in E, sequence Fnx, it is also a bounded sequence. Okay. So more formally, there function chi from E to R such that modulus of Fnx is less than chi x for every x in E and for all in E. So notice that if you fix the point x in E, Fnx is a so it has a bound. So we call that bound mx. So mod of fnx is not equal to mx. So for each x in function, let's say chi x, where chi x is nothing but mx, where mx is a bound fnx, right? And we say that fn is called the uniformly bounded if there exists an m positive such that is strictly less than m for every x in E and for every n in N. So let's define x as is the cos in x, where x is in the interval equal this, and then it is clear that mod fnx is less than or equal to 1 for all x and for every n. So in this case, it is clear that fn is uniformly bounded, right? So fn is uniformly bounded on the interval this. Now, if you take fnx is equal to x by n, where x so in this case, fn is not uniformly bounded, right? So in this case, fn is not uniformly bounded on R, because if the sequence fn is uniformly bounded, so we can find an m, right, for which we have this estimate, that is mod fnx is less than or equal to m, and this holds for every x in R and for every n. So if you choose a particular x like that, x equal to 2nm, it is also a real number, right? So if you this fn of 2nm, you can get only 2m, and which is obviously n, which is a contradiction, right? So fn, so in this case fn is not uniformly bounded on R, but in this case fn is pointwise bounded in R, because if you give me any point C in R and you compute fnc, what is that? It is of the form C by n. What is that? C in this case is fixed, right? So we compute for each point C in our fnc. So fnc is C by n, and we more precisely, you can take the function chi x equal to x, and x modulus of fnx is less than or equal to chi x for every x in R. So in this case, fn is not uniformly bounded on R, but our sequence is pointwise equal on R. May not imply the uniform, but uniform convergence always implies the pointwise convergence, right? And observe that uniform boundedness also implies the pointwise boundedness, but the pointwise boundedness does not imply always the uniform boundedness. It may imply the bounded, or it may not imply the uniform boundedness. So we see in the first example that in this example our sequence of functions is pointwise bounded, also it is uniformly bounded. In the second example, our sequence of functions is not uniformly bounded, but it is pointwise bounded. Okay. So next we move on the concept or equicontinuous family of functions. You know all these kinds of things. You can say that a family functions K, that is our domain in this case is K. It is, we look all the functions K. So the family of the function whose domain is K is said to be equicontinuous on K. A delta positive such that if you take any point x and y in K with then delta, and for every f in D, this would imply that modulus of fx minus fy is less than epsilon. So in this case, observe that for a given epsilon, we can find a delta such that this delta works for all xy in K and all a in D, right? So for this uniform delta, we can if you give me 2 points x and y in K with their modulus less than delta, and then for every f in our family script D, we have fx minus fy is less than epsilon. So it is clear from it is clear that so every member of an equicontinuous family of functions is uniformly continuous, right? So if you give me any function f in that equicontinuous family, by the definition of the equicontinuous, so f is a uniformly continuous function on K, right? So it is the observation. On your own, it is very obvious. Now we will see some important results which will ensure to us that if there exists if we have a we all know that in the sequence of real numbers there is a condition that a bounded sequence always has a convergent subsequence, right? So it is called the Bajorsk's theorem. So we can ask the same question here, that if there exists if there exists any condition which ensures us that there exists a sequence which has convergence. So the answer is yes, and it is recorded in the following result, that is, if you take any k, a countable set, and if you take any sequence of functions which is pointwise bounded on k, then we can always find a sequence of functions f and k which converges pointwise on k. The proof of this theorem is very interesting. It is by that the same well-known trick of the Cantor's diagonalization process. So you can see the proof in any standard. So we see that the existence of a sequence of functions which is converges pointwise on k. So the next question is there exist any condition which ensures us the existence of a sequence of functions which has a uniformly convergent subsequence, and it is recorded in this theorem, that is, if you take any compact set in R and if Fn is a sequence of continuous functions and equicontinuous of k, then our sequence then it implies that our sequence of functions only pointwise bounded, it is also uniformly bounded on k. Subsequence. So all these results are very important to solve the problems on sequence of. So if you take this example of that sequence of functions by this, where x is in the interval, you check that our Fn x is uniformly bounded. But if I compute our, if I this is the supremum of modulus Fn x minus fx, you can check that it is always greater or equal to 1. So what is the pointwise? Because pointwise limit here. So the pointwise limit in this case it is 0 when x equal to 0, and if x is non-zero it is equal to 0, and you can check that mn it is mn is, if you calculate this mn and if you put some value of x, that is, let's say x equal to 1 by n, okay, then you get that mn is always greater equal to 1. So from our sequence of functions, mn has convergent subsequence, because if it has a uniformly convergent subsequence, let's say fnk, then mnk is always tends to 0, right? But mn is at least 1 for every n. So mnk does not tend to 0 for any n and any k. Okay. So in this case, our sequence of functions is uniformly bounded, but subsequence, because you can check that fn, in this case fn is not a equicontinuous family of functions on k. That's why that the result does not follow. Okay. Okay, so some more important results. It is what is the MCT, the monotone convergence. It is important theorem in regarding all our exam purpose. So that with the sequence of functions is non-negative, and with the property that if fn tends to a pointwise on AB and fnx is less than or equal to fn plus 1x, our sequence of functions is an increasing sequence of functions, then we can say that limit is also remain integrable, and we can interchange the limit and integration. So in this case, we don't need the uniform convergence of the sequence of function fn, right? So it is sufficient that if fn is a sequence of integrable functions, and if fn hold these two properties, then we can interchange the limit and integration. And which tells us that if fn is a sequence of functions, such our sequence is bounded by G, and if our sequence of functions is pointwise convergent on F to F, then also we can interchange the limit. So in this case, we don't need that argument that fx, fnx, fn is a increasing function. And there is some there is another important theorem which you all know, that is called the Brewster's theorem. It says that any continuous function on the is the uniform limit of some sequence of if we have a function from AB to R which is continuous on AB, then we can always find that sequence of polynomials uniformly on the closed interval AB. Up to this results and some important definition of the sequence of functions, and we also see some examples regarding the concept. Now we will move to the problem which was asked in competitive exams like TFR, NET, GATE, NVHN, right? So I choose 4 problems, and problems are very important. It also gives you the to how to approach a problem, right? So the first problem is this, that if Fn is a sequence of continuous functions defined on R, converging uniformly on R to function f, then which of the following are true? If bounded and if each Fn is uniformly continuous, does f is also uniformly continuous, and if each Fn is integrable, does this follow that we can interchange the limit? There is the improper integral, right? Okay. So first option, it is if each Fn is bounded, then f is also bounded or not. It is very trivial to prove. They are given in all the we are given the sequence of functions uniformly to f, and Fn are continuous. So assume that Fn's are bounded, right? So this implies that there exists a Mn such that what less than n, Mn. Every n, Fn is bounded. Like that, if you put n equal to 1, f1 is a bounded function. If you put n equal to 2, f2 is bounded function bound. For x2, we have m2. For x3, we have m3. So like this, we have Fn, we have Mn or Fn, right? Now, since Sk is uniformly convergent on R, then from the definitions of the uniform convergence, that is of difference, it tends to 0, right? So this implies that there, so we can find a natural number n such that this happens. So in this case, Ck is our supremum of this, right? So we put this. Now we have to found the estimate of fx. So what is the estimate of fx? So if I take the estimate of fx, so we can write it. We can write this as fnx, just applying the triangle inequality. Okay, and n is here the particular n. So the always is always less than the supremum of that and this, and know that that supremum is less than 1. So that, and for fnx, so for each fn, so the particular n is to mn. We found that mod fx is less than or equal to 1 plus mn belongs to R, and this is a fixed number, right? So this follows that f is bounded on R. Just in a similar way, you can check that all our fn's are continuous, then f is also uniformly continuous. So for that, we choose an epsilon positive. So we want to show that there exists a delta, such that whenever mod of x minus y is less than delta, y is less than epsilon. And that now we compute the estimate. So what is the estimate of mod of x plus fy? So we can write this as mod of x minus xkx plus xkx minus xky plus fy. Just use the triangle inequality, right? So now we apply that converging to it uniformly, you can find an n naught happens, right? So from here, so we choose a k which is that equal to n naught. Choose a fixed k which is that equal to n naught. So then we can estimate this as mod of x minus fy before. So mod of x minus fy is, we have this estimate. Now since k is theta equal to n naught. So for every k equal to n naught, we have this estimate, right? So they are all by 3 plus this quantity. Okay. Now we are also given that each Fn is uniformly continuous. So just using the uniform continuity of our Fk, we get delta okay. So this happens. Now you see for every xy belongs to R, x y less than delta. If we put this in this inequality, so modulus fx minus fy is less than epsilon. Every xy in R, modulus x minus y is less than delta. So hence, so we have found the uniform delta for which this happens. So it implies that S is uniformly continuous. This is the option in this case. So option C is whether it happens or not. So what is the guess? So if you look at this picture, just look at this. Just look at on the closed interval 0 infinity, and you can extend this on the whole of R. Look at the closed interval 0 infinity. Just take the sequence of functions like that. So what is our function? It is of this uh, 1 by n square, and whenever we have x in the n2 line, and the remaining portion, it is 0. So it is easy to see that each Fn is continuous. Fn is continuous. If you compute the pointwise limit, so what is the pointwise limit here? So if you very carefully, and if you estimate, if you take the modulus of f is always its maximum value is 1 by n square, right? Find that mod of Fnx is less than or equal to 1 by n square, and you know that 1 by n square tends to 0, and hence Fnx tends to 0, and it is true for every x. And it is not only pointwise convergence, it is also uniform convergence, right? So our given hypothesis of our problem is satisfied. the limit is not equal, right? So if you compute the integral 0 to infinity fnt dt, you will see that it is of the form something like plus 1 by 2n. Sorry, 1 by 2n plus 1 by n plus 1 by 2n square, and it is and the integral of 0 to infinity, it is of the form something that series. So you check, it is not equal. So the next, given the a, C1 means continuously differentiable function. That is, f is differentiable and f prime is also continuous. Like that, if n x is equal to n into this, then they are asking which of the following is or are true. That is, Fn converges uniformly on R or not. Fn converges on R, but this so all these options you have to verify. So only you are given that Fn f is C1 function. Okay. So you see that if you compute the limit of Fn x and infinity, if you compute the limit, it is of the form limit n tends to minus fx, and since we are given that f is uniformly f is differentiable function, so it is a dash x, right? So in this case, a dash x, that is the a prime pointwise, right? Now, to check the uniform continuity, we have to consider this modulus of fn x minus f prime x. So if you can put fn x as this, and if you apply the mean value theorem, because it is given that it is differential comma n by n, so we can find a Cx for which, right? So if you just apply the MVT. So it is of the form f dash minus f dash x. Okay. So from notice that in good shape, right? So okay. So if you look at this very carefully, our function f prime, suppose our function f prime is uniformly continuous on R. Okay. Then for then I can find a delta for which whenever mod of x minus y is less than delta, mod of f prime x minus f prime y must be less than epsilon, right? If you just if you just choose an n for which 1 by n is less than delta, so we can always find this Archimedean property of the real number, right? So if you choose an n for which 1 by n is less than delta, so for that n, this will be less than epsilon, because our modulus cx minus x will then be less than 1 by n, and since 1 by n is less than delta, so we can so this implies that modulus f prime of cx minus f prime x is less than epsilon. And for every k that equal to that n, we have modulus fnx minus f prime x is less than epsilon. So if f prime is uniform R, then it implies that our Fn converges uniformly to f prime. Okay, you just verify this on your own. It is not so hard to prove. So I have to look for a function on R whose derivative is not uniformly continuous on R. So what is the example? So if I take x equal to x cube, we all know that f dash x is equal to 3x squared, right? So, and we know that f dash x is our intuition. So our intuition tells us that for this function, Fn is not uniformly converging to f prime, right? So if you compute this modulus that fnx sorry, there is some mistakes. Okay, so it will be fnx minus f prime x, and there is no x squared term here, right? So it is so fnx minus f prime x, it will be equal to just 3x by n plus 1 by n squared. There is no square term here. It is I have found later. So if you now calculate the supremum, right? Mn, it is the supremum of this. So this is the supremum of plus 3x by 1 by n square. And if you take some particular value of n to n, so if you put x equal to n, a particular, so that value will be always less than the supremum. So if you if you put that value, so we get Mn is greater equal to it is just of the form 3 plus 1 by n square, and it is always greater equal to 1, right? So here Mn is always greater equal to 1 for every n. So it is clear that Mn does not tends to 0 and n tends to infinity. So f prime does not tends to f uniformly on R, right? So our build up from this equation that, so if we have f dash a uniformly continuous function, then it is uniformly continuous, then the convergence is uniform. So if I take a function whose derivative is not uniformly continuous on R, then the result fails. Okay. So the option A is false, and option B is true. You can this if a not and need not uniformly. And now converges uniformly to f prime on the interval 0, 1 or not. So see, f is a C1 function, right? C1 function. So f dash is also continuous on R. So hence f dash is also continuous on the interval 0, 1, and since it is the compact set, so it is uniformly continuous, because any continuous function on a compact set is uniformly continuous. So since f prime is uniformly continuous on the interval 0, 1, so hence Fn converges uniformly to f prime. Okay. So you have to think like this, that whenever if you are solving a problem, just see that what is given and what I have to show. Okay, and then you can solve the problems on your own most of the time. Okay. So there is another problem which was asked in PIFR. So if we have a continuous function on the interval 0, 1, closed interval 0, 1, then what is the limit of that so how to approach the problem? So see, it is given that f is continuous on the closed interval 0, 1, and we see the theorem that if we have a sequence of continuous functions on the closed interval AB, so we can always find a sequence of polynomials which converges uniformly to our function f. So since f is continuous on the interval, on that interval 0, 1, so we can find a sequence of polynomials, let's say p, such that pk tends to f uniformly on the interval by the Weierstrass theorem. So let's say pk is equal to this form. That is ak x power k plus a1x plus a naught, right? Since pk tends to f uniformly, so n x power n pkx will also tends to uniformly x power n, and their integral should always tends to that integral, that is integral 0 to 1 n fx x power n dx. So now if you compute that, so you can compute in this way, you can write this in this way. So I have to find that, so I have to find what is the limit of this. So the limit n tends to infinity, this is equal to that limit k tends to infinity, because it is equal to the limit k tends to infinity 0 to 1 x power n pkx dx, okay, from the above relation. And since our sequence of functions is since it is uniformly convergent and all that, so we can interchange the limit, right? So now we interchange the limit, k tends to infinity, and it is, and if you compute, it is of the form pk1. Just compute according to this, so it is of the form pk1, and we know that limit k tends to infinity pk1 is equal to f of 1. So the function is equal to f of 1. So and you can verify the other options as well, which is not true. Just you can take fx equal to minus x, and you can verify that all these options and now there is a last problem. Problem is that if Fn is a sequence of negative continuous functions defined on the closed interval 0, 1, and assume that Fnx tends to Fx for every x. So we are given that Fn twice. Then they are asking which of the following conditions imply that we can interchange the limit and integration. So the condition is in the following. So which of these conditions imply that we can interchange the limit and the integral? So let's see option A. So option A is that Fnx. So it means that Fnx increases to the function fx. Okay, right? So it means that we have a sequence of functions Fnx. We have an increasing sequence of functions Fnx, and which converging to fx. Okay, so let's see option A is true or not. So assume that Fnx increases to fx. So this means that this we have this. So Fns are continuous. So it is it implies that Fns are remain integrable on that interval, and we have also the increasing sequence of functions, and also Fn tends to a pointwise, and Fns are non-negative. So all the hypotheses of the MCT, that is the monotone convergence theorem, are hold, right? So we just apply MCT. Okay, so we just apply MCT to say that we can interchange the limit and integration. So the option is of convergence. So what about option B? So option B says here that Fnx is less than or equal to fx for every x and for every n. So so what do you expect that? So so you see in the dominated convergence theorem that if we have a sequence of integrable functions and Fn, and if we have a sequence of if we have an integrable function g such that all the that is all those Fn's are bounded by the function g, then Fn is then we can interchange the limit and the integration. So it is the consequence of the it is the yes, it is the consequence of the DCT. So just see, Fn's are all continuous functions, so hence it is integrable, and Fnx and f is also integrable here. So basically they are not given that f is integrable, but when they are talking about that interchange of the limit and whenever they talk about the integral of fx dx, so we can always assume that f is so f is remain integrable, so we can take f equal to g here, and Fnx tends to fx pointwise, and Fnx is bounded by fx, and since all those Fn's are non-negative, so the modulus is something like that. So just we can apply the dominated convergence theorem to say that we can always interchange the limit and the integration in this case also. So it is just application of MCT and DCT. So if you really understand the theorem of MCT and DCT, you will be able to solve this kind of problem. Okay, and then the last option, it is very trivial. So you can see. So you all know that if Sn is a sequence of functions and Snx tends to fx pointwise, and if f is also continuous, that may not imply that we can interchange the limit and the integration. So you can find this example in any book. Okay. So with this, I will stop here. I will stop. Hello?
Yes, Sabya.
Yeah. I will stop
Okay.
here.
So anyone if have any doubt, please ask. Anyone has any doubt? Okay, so we have no doubt, and you explained very.
Wait a second.
Okay.
Savya, please, could you just recall the definition of equicontinuous? I couldn't just understand that.
Okay. So equicontinuous means that if we have a if you have a family of functions, just see, I have just slides. Okay, this is not students. It will like to know. Yeah. So if you are given a family of functions defined on a set, let's say K. So equicontinuous means that if you give me any epsilon, so I can find a delta such that whenever mod of exponent y less than delta, our modulus of fx minus fy is less than epsilon, and it holds for every. So this delta works for every function. Okay, so it may not like this, that for some f1 we have delta 1. For some f2.
Okay, thanks,
Member of a
Savya.
family. Okay, so then it is
Okay.
equicontinuous. Okay, right.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else has any question or anything want to say? He or she can unmute yourself and ask your question or anything. Okay, anyone?
सर मैं शशांक, आवाज जा रही क्या हमारी?
Yes, Sasank.
यस सर, एक्चुअली कुछ वो इनकन्वीनियंस हो गई थी, नेटवर्क इशू हुआ था तो हम कनेक्ट नहीं हो पा रहे थे स्टार्टिंग में. अभी मैंने फोन से किया है, शायद आवाज जा रही होगी.
Okay, yes, you are audible.
Yeah.
हाँ सर, हम सब्यसाची सर से पूछना चाहेंगे सर, इससे रिलेटेड कोई मतलब कितने क्वेश्चंस का वेटेज रहता है, जैसे नेट के लिए या फिर नेट के लिए है पर्टिकुलरली, और कई बार क्वेश्चंस नहीं दिखते हैं, जैसे यूनिफॉर्म कन्वर्जेंस पे तो क्वेश्चन रहता है, बेसिकली सीक्वेंस ऑफ फंक्शंस पे कभी कभी क्वेश्चंस नहीं मिलते, तो मतलब पर्टिकुलरली हर साल का एक एवरेज वेटेज देखा जाए तो कितने मार्क्स का वेटेज रहता है?
I think there is weightage of this topic and in the NET exam near about 10. 10 to 12.
In each paper?
Always there. Yeah.
Okay.
Always there. Approximately.
Okay,
Okay.
I will add two things. In the question comes in part B and part C. So sometimes
Yes, sir.
they ask two questions in part C,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
question in part B. Sometimes two questions part 2 and part C.
Yeah. There are
Topics in point of view of NVHM.
very point
NVHM, it has very important topic, and you see the paper of NVHM, then you find there are
Yes,
3,
sir.
4
Questions from
not only it is important for NBHM and all the exams. It is important for our learning purpose also, right? So
Yes, sir.
it is a very important concept of the real analysis, and you can find this in any standard book,
Books,
right?
yes, sir.
In any standard book of our Indian author. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Okay.
Anyone?
I think there is no one. I think
Okay, so
चैट बॉक्स में भी तो कोई क्वेश्चन है नहीं, आपने चेक किया है?
yes. Okay. So thank you, Sabyasachi, for giving time to our platform and
Okay. Thanks.
giving us
Thanks a lot.
a nice lecture. And the most important thing is to how to approach the problems. As you mentioned that
Yeah.
question of TFR was very important, and it was not visible by directly to see that it uses Weierstrass theorem of polynomial uniform convergence. That all. And very nice to present. Okay, thank you from our side and our platform.
Okay.